Fantastic demo. Wow, thank you. So yeah, it's been that first contact. I mean, we did so we had a playable demo. Was it summer of 2020? And it was very short. We were just trying, or very rather simple. We just wanted to try out the traversal, like hoisting and jumping down, and the readability and the verticality gameplay, and obviously combat. And it was good, but it still didn't have a lot of the elements that make it, a living, breathing world with all the systems that interconnect. So that first contact with you can shop, you can camp, you can chat, you can.
Yeah, close to the full
It was
experience.
it was great it was great to see that first contact. So thank you everyone who played it. The feedback
Yeah.
has been amazing. We feel truly blessed right now. It didn't have fishing. Oh my god. Hey, fishing we could talk about forever, Soleil, because I don't
Fishing
remember
seems to
if
be a highlight.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing with fishing mini games is it's mandatory. It's like not a real RPG if you don't have one. But also they're expected, but they're never good. It seems, or like there's always a super small portion of players that enjoy them. Um, and I gotta say, from a design perspective, it was more daunting than the combat system. Like, not that it's as complex, but it's more cursed. uh, and as for the rest of the game, the approach was just let's do something that's tactile, that makes you look at the world and take in the world. Um, so anyway, I don't know. I suppose because, and see, that's the thing. I dropped the ball on on balancing, and I left a fish in there that's way too difficult for a first contact. And so if you just throw it all the way to the back, it's near impossible to catch that one. But I know some. Just wondering, is there? You got the Crimson Bass. You're not supposed to be able to do that with the. All right, so let's get into the demo here. I'm not playing. I'm playing it on my PC dev environment, so you might see subtle differences. But it's the same thing that you can play on Switch. It's just easier for me as a non-streamer to just pipe in my PC directly. Um, all right. Last battle was very tough. You talking about the Gambit thing, or? So the thing with relics is what was not explained at all in the game is the idea around relics is that they bind to your game, not necessarily to your save file. So if you buy, for example, the Gambit, for those who did, it's now unlocked. You can hit new game, and as soon as you get control of your character, you can activate it right away and do a full run with it. And the idea is that some of the relics will only be available, or you will only be able to actually activate them if you're, say, in a new game plus, or if you have at least one save file that has completed the game. So we can, as maybe some of you have played with the Gambit, we can break the game in a lot of fun ways with these modifiers. But we're also making sure that you experience the proper thing first. Full run with the. Yeah, see, I can't do the arcane singularity block. Yeah. All right. By the way, speedrunners, did you know that you can hold right, well, R on Switch and A and the text will just auto skip? It's a little trick we like to use sometimes in dev. Okay, so yeah, I'll just run around. I mean, you all have played it. I'm not gonna do the pitch of the mechanics and all because I assume most people here know about the game already, or it should speak for itself as I go. We're mostly here today to answer some questions from the community, and that's also why Matt is here. So Matt, I don't know if you have questions in the chamber for me, but you can.
Yes, for
You
sure.
can
Let's
shoot.
go. Good. Uh, Before we start, I want to thank everyone who asked some questions on either Discord or social media. We also have some member of the teams in the chat, it's not too late to add some questions if you want. So we'll try to ask as many as possible during the stream. So to start, let's go with a question from Discord from Dansky. Was asking any chance at all to add some kind of mini map objective tracking within the menu?
No, not minimap objective tracking, but when you're out, so there's in terms of like, knowing like situating yourself and knowing what you're supposed to do in the game. There are two hooks or two entry points. First one is camping, where by talking to your party, you will always get pointers on what to do next. And then when you're out on the world map, you'll be able to press a key that essentially opens up. That would be the world map, not a local area map. And then that will have a blinking icon of where the next main beat is. You can actually think of Link to the Past for that kind of approach, right? Very retro. So right now, pressing, I guess, select or minus or kind of pops up just this contextual, the name of the zone you're in. We call it the ping HUD. It gives you the zone you're in and the status of your party at a glance. So you can press again for it to go away, or it goes away on its own after a little while. So that same key while you're out on the world map will open up the entire world map. One other thing to keep in mind is that you've only played short slides, but everything in the game has been designed to be bite-sized moment after bite-sized moment. That's true for the story, the dungeons, and all that. And so everything takes place in an archipelago. So it's about all these islands that are each a very clear and different biome with their own landmarks. And so when people talk about where to go, you will kind of have these ways to situate yourself, like, oh yeah, that's the one we just got caught by the giant, purple and yellow thing. You're gonna remember that, and when you sail by, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's the thing they're talking about, if that happens to be where you need to go next. But yeah, very all about things being organic and feeling natural, right? You'll see a lot of this in most of the game's systems, like how cooking has strings of sound effects and bespoke illustrations to show the steps of making something, and the ingredients actually make sense if you were to make that in real life, which someone did. As one of the coolest entry fan art ever. Like, I made a dish. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that was very cool. All right. So next we have a question from Captain Nobird on Discord as well. So does the Moonerang attack total damage get capped, or is it theoretically possible to one-shot every enemy in the game if you're skilled enough to pull it off?
I mean, unless you're a robot or an Estonian king, I don't think it's possible. But it's technically uncapped, but it's got a pretty severe diminishing return. As to it's probably not. No, it's impossible to balance it. See, for a while it was like, oh, should we make it so that it explodes after like 5 or 10, but you can get maybe a trinket that doubles that or that uncaps it. But yeah. So hopefully it's balanced in a way where it's uncapped, but just in terms of your damage output per second, at some point even a speedrunner would be better off not abusing it. But then again, we'll see, won't we?
People will try for sure. So from the chat right now, Team Red Todd was asking if we'll be able to reset the mobs from areas to grind XP in the main game.
Grinding XP is well, the answer is yes to the first half. So there are some encounters in the game are scripted, or they're basically forced. Like you enter somewhere, and as you activate a puzzle, some enemies jump down and attack you. These don't respawn. Those that are we call them forced encounters. You know, the ones that are like staged or kind of like or scripted, I should say. These are permadeath. But the enemies that are just patrolling and like just behaving and trying to get to you, but they're kind of like on an invisible leash where they go back to their place. Those who have the default behavior, yeah, they respawn. Not exactly whenever you change a room. That's when you fade in or out through a door, but sometimes it's exiting the dungeon. But it's not so much for XP though. It's mostly for materials. Like, oh, this one has potatoes, and I want to make a mean stew or something. And also, well, you get some gold out of them as well. So if you want to shop, you can do some of that. As far as XP goes, though, the rubber band is pretty severe in terms of enemies. If you're below, the enemies will pull you up fairly fast, and if you go beyond, you'll start getting not enough for it to feel worthwhile. Because we're really focusing on something where the story keeps progressing, and doing the next beat is the most efficient action, let's say. That being said, if you choose to stay in the first area of the game and max everything out by killing 47,000 level 1 goblins, you can technically do that. And I bet someone will, but but you're not gonna hit a wall where it's like a level check and you're failing a boss because of your level. If that the case would always be that enemies pulled you up enough, and your best course of action, assuming your gear is up to date with the latest shop and you went for a couple chests during the dungeon, then it should be more about paying attention to the patterns and blocking better or exploiting the elements better, or taking the locks seriously if you're disregarding something that's being cast and then it's a big AoE. But yeah.
Good.
Le jeu est magique. Yep.
Brams, oh yeah, ready?
Oh yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Good. So Brams was asking on Discord as well, and it's something that has been brought up a lot. I know that you've discussed these questions a lot in the last few days on the feedback channel. It's about the speed of running and on the world map. I don't know if you want to address this question on
oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, I'm happy with
on the stream as well.
Let's talk about whatever people are curious about. But yeah, so movement speed on the world map came up a lot. And it's been noted, we'll take a proper look at it, but it was a very deliberate decision that the world map is something that you take in, right? It's a different vibe. It's chiller music. Eric even did like a Diddy Kong Racing kind of like zones thing where you're close to a town, the music like kicks into something else, and islands each have their landmarks, and that's a great moment to kind of display that, right? But I can totally understand though that in the flow of the demo, a demo is cursed in many ways. But so we drop you in, right? And then you just get one fight, and then you get a bunch of dialogue, and then you're just eager to fight again. It's probably what you went through playing the demo. And then it's like, walking feels like a drag because finally you left the town and you were going to do something that you want to do. So I think part of that comment comes from it's kind of taken out of context. Another thing too is that's of the whole game, that's probably the second longest distance that you have to walk on the world map, because again, these are all small islands, and I can picture you picturing oh, when I'm in this gigantic continent and I have to go all the way, it's gonna take forever. No, this is as big as it gets in terms of distance. So we'll still look at it because we definitely don't want an irritant like that. It was just meant to feel like a journey and all that. I think context doesn't really serve that vision, so we'll see. But I think if people, I still feel partial to that idea. I think if you could only see it in its proper expression, but with the Relics system, we can always just have a thing that, hey, you move twice as fast. If that's what you want, you can turn that on or off. What was the other one? Sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
you answered it.
Cool.
Thank you. Next,
Well,
will it
so
be
hold on.
possible?
One second, Matt. It's just that I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
some
go
people
ahead.
also talked. It was few people, but some people also talked about running speed like in character view, not on the world map. Is there going to be a run button and things like that? And I want to be clear on that. Absolutely not. The movement speed is the metric. That's the linchpin of everything. For everything to work in the game, how fast you move is how fast you take things in, and it's the time windows that we have to let you notice something. And when we call you somewhere, we're constantly managing, attention span and what looks like something you should care about. And so that's very much, it's the speed at which you go through the museum, and we're ensuring that it's a speed at which you're most likely to take things in as they were, I would say, envisioned. Okay.
Great. Another thing that came up a lot was about the time hits and time block. So someone was asking if there will be some visual cues to better perform these timed inputs.
So there won't be visual cues as to when to do them, because then that's a completely different game, right? We're really shooting for immersion here, where you look at the combat, you take in the world, you pay attention to the animations, and when it feels like it's hitting you, if you press, we want you to connect with the character animation, right? Which is the opposite end of a philosophy where it's like, let's just have a bar with an icon, and when it's in the middle, you press, and it says either great or average or whatever, and that's just something you could only play in the menus, and then character animation are just flavors. And the idea of having this active combat, kind of like Mario RPG, obviously, it isn't just because it's fun gameplay. I mean, it is, in my opinion, but it's not the only reason. It's also that this active side to combat makes you pay more attention, and it makes it a more immersive. It adds weight, to the world and everything. And it also means that whenever you encounter a new enemy or you encounter a new boss, every new attack, every new pattern is something to play with to find the timing. It's very easy to imagine. Let's go as basic as it gets and talk about Dark Souls, right? Okay, so if the enemy that's about to attack you gives you a big telegraphed holographic cone, on the ground, yes, that's clearer. Yes, you dodge out of the way, but you disconnect from the conversation, right? Because you're just not waiting for the hologram to appear, and you stay out of that instead of looking at, oh, is that dragon breathing in and is about to breathe out? And they're two very different approach. And while it's true that one is easier to pick up in the first or second hour of playing, I firmly believe that it grows into something more meaningful that feels more connected if you sit with it for long enough. Another thing to keep in mind is that we're playing with small kits for our characters. Each character gets 3 special moves and eventually an ultimate attack. That's later in the game. But then there's over 20 combos, right? So that's where it all kind of becomes a bigger thing. But the idea is that for each character, it's not only about how much damage it deals, it's which damage types it does and what patterns it does as well. So you're understanding the utility of all your moves. And so instead of having your favorite character like, oh, that's my heavy hitter, you'll be like, oh, I need Moon and I need AoE Moon, so who can do that? Well, she's Moon, so perhaps she has something in there. But then if you need Moon and, I don't know, I'm not going to make up a damage type because people will think I'm spoiling things, but the idea is that you can infer, oh, that's my character that does Sun, and that's my character that does Blunt. So if I need Blunt and Sun, perhaps in my combo list I have something with these 2 characters, and it always sort of plays out as a thing you can extrapolate from what you learned with your smaller kits. Combos are learned through finding scrolls, basically, but the skills are learned by progressing through the story because they're mandatory. So that also kicks into the luck system where instead of having your one favorite character, sometimes everyone can be the key to certain situations. Did I... what was the question? I feel I just started rambling about combat.
Yeah.
But
the question was about the visual cues, but I think I
Oh
think it
yeah,
was
right.
answered.
Well, so okay,
Yeah.
so there is something though to be said about feedback, right? So when you did it right, some people were still a bit unclear. Like, did I actually block this? Uh, at the moment, we felt like having a hurt frame versus a blocking frame was a good tell. We'll probably do something like adding a confirmation in the damage that pops up. Um, but it could also be because just dropping in with a party of 3 and a whole bunch of things happening with a bunch of moves unlocked already might make the readability, like as you play the game, you see these things one by one, and it's kind of a slower drip. So by the time you're in the situation that you're in the demo, your readability of everything is already on another level. But we'll look at it, we'll figure it out, and it will make sense, I promise. There is an audio cue already and a color change already. The damage text is already there. There's an audio cue as well. But we'll don't worry about it. We'll make it right. Good job les petits bigs. Merci King entre Lions. Les petits bigs. Alright, so I'm ready, Matt.
Yes. Well, while we're on the subject, someone was asking if all the attacks and skills have these timed inputs.
So anything that's so the only thing that doesn't have timed inputs are the ultimate attacks and enemy support skills. So if an enemy is summoning another enemy, you can't like time to do something about the summon. Or if they're like, for example, healing another enemy, that's not something you can time either. But they will still play a casting sequence first, so you can still affect that, meaning like you can break the locks. So for example, a summoner would have 4 locks, it's going to summon 4 enemies. If you break 2 locks, it's only going to summon 2. And if it's going to heal, well, obviously any lock you remove hinders the healing. There's no crit. If you crit, can you crit? There's no crit in the game. There's no random at all, and there's no chance to miss, no chance to crit. None of that is in there. So okay, so yes, so on a regular attack, if you time your first hit, can you time the second one? No, it's really like on a regular attack. If you timed it, you got the it gives you the second hit. But every skill that you use and every attack that enemies do on you have a timing where they can be timed. And the thing too, one thing that's really hard to convey is that you're not supposed to break all the locks all the time, and you're not supposed to successfully time everything all the time. The idea is all of that is balanced so that as you feel a bit more pressure, you're more likely to fail and things like that. And that all kicks into a balancing where when you pull it off, you can really tell the difference if you try it again or you came back to a different fight. And it's the same thing as well with the locks, because an enemy, the enemies save their casting time. So if an enemy is mounting something that will take 4 turns to go, and you take 2 turns to break all the locks, you cancel the spell, but it's still at 2 casting time. So when they mount it again, it's at full locks, but now it only goes in 2 turns. So maybe you can do it again in 2 again, but by that time it will be at 1, and then the casting time only resets once it made it through. Because if you think about it, you want to play a turn-based RPG where no one makes any spells ever. You want to see those spell effects, right? You got to deal with the AoE and heal yourself, and it's all part of the fun. So the locks are more an opportunity to do something about it rather than, clear this or you're a failure.
Nice. The next one is next question will be: will it be possible to equip new items directly from the shopping menu?
Yes. So two things that came up in the feedback that are actually already solved. It's just that we don't. It's not like in the demo, yet. Well, yet I don't think it will be in the demo, but unless we patched it at some point. But so for the main game, there's 2 things here. Is first, when you loot something in a chest, you will have the icon in front of the item's name. So you'll be able to tell, is that an armor? Is that a weapon for Valor? Is that a weapon for Garl? Is that a trinket? Is that a group trinket? Is it just a cooking ingredient? So that's first thing. You won't have to go in the menu and like, what did I pick up and where is it going? And then yes, in the shop, when you buy, so to the right you see how it would affect who, right? So this person can't wear that. This person gets +3 this or to this or that. So as you buy, you can either. So first of all, we're gonna have counters. Like, do you want to buy 30 like milk or whatever? And so too for selling, you can pick an amount before you send it. Right now, it's like you just got a spam, right? Um, and then also when you buy, say, a sword, you can put it on sale directly or in your inventory instead if you want it for later for some reason. And then after buying, you can equip right away. And we also intercept, do you want to sell the previous one? So yes, it will be what you would expect, is the short answer here.
Nice. You were just talking about the ultimate moves.
Yep.
I know we already like mentioned them in an
Yeah.
earlier stream, and people had some new questions about them. So yeah, you just confirmed that they're still in the game, but they were also wondering how they will interact with the other combat systems, such as the locks or other combat system as well.
They're more like just a big display of ultimate damage, you know. I don't think that's something to necessarily get into too much, because eventually you just get it and I think it will feel right. But essentially, like, depending on what you feel like you need, you can just spend the ultimate bar on the one character that does that, you know. So you can expect Zale to just AoE Sun for massive damage, you know. You can expect Valor to AoE Moon for massive damage. And so you essentially build up, so the ultimate bar is to the party. So once you spend it, it's spent no matter who acted. And you build it up by spending combo points. Because if it's like an MP cost, you can just spam only that while chugging potions. And so, you know, the idea was looking for something that would like kick into that dynamic. So as you break locks, as you do killing blows, you earn combo points, and then as you spend combo points, you're building up that ultimate bar. And then when the ultimate bar is full, then you can do something more impactful. It also it also makes it more organic that you're not gonna use an ultimate attack against the two crabs. You know, so when the situation calls for it, that's when you actually have the time in combat to build up to using one. And we treat them more kind of like, I want to be careful, I'll say the word, okay, but it's, you don't summon anything, but it kind of feels like that in the sense that camera can go outside of battle to do something a bit grander, you know, but it's really just about your character doing an ultimate thing. So it's not a summon per se, but it's kind of like the production value of a summon, if you will. Okay, I probably said too much.
We'll go to the next one. Do Sea of Stars have dynamic time and dynamic weather changes?
I mean, yeah, it can rain sometime. We didn't really push the weather system, because if we were to do that, it would be like a bigger part of the narrative and the gameplay and all. We're really trying to, for all the ingredients to be telling of the story that we're telling. So it's really more about the light, you know, the sun, the moon, so time of day is used mostly for little puzzles, you know. So focus crystals drive a beam, charge up a rune, open something up before it stops charging, you know. For example, you could charge a rune and then the thing goes up when it's done charging, so you're gonna align the beam, and before it's done charging you get on so that it lifts you up, you know. If it goes before you reach it, you missed and you can't climb on. So it's these little like micro like timing or activating mechanisms, puzzles. I mean, also visually it's it's pretty cool, but yeah.
Good.
So hold on just one sec. About enemies respawning. At first the idea was for everything permadeath, and so XP would be finite, and reaching level cap would be the percentage of completion of clearing everything. But that was all of that was all part of a bit of a more simple vision for the game. Like before, it was clear that the hype was so real that we really had to go all the way, and it was before we had more systems, like fishing, like cooking, like so reasons to go back, to be there, to take your time to redo thing. It was more of a, I don't want to say linear, but almost. If you think of something like Illusion of Gaia, where you just go through the dungeon and there's no real reason to go back. So then it was more about the completion while you're there. So enemies respawning just makes sense now because that's how they synergize well with the other systems. It's not that we changed our mind, it's that we're going all the way.
That's it. Lionheart on Discord was asking if the Switch version of the game will be as beautiful and performant as the other versions on PC and console.
Oh yeah, well I mean it's out on Switch. The playable demo is out on Switch right now, and you can play it at a whopping 60 FPS.
Yeah.
We think of Switch as kind of our main it's the one we want to hit, right? Because we make it, we achieve the perfect vision on that one, and then it's not that it's like instantaneous to get it to work on everything else, but once we have that one locked in, it's hey, smooth sailing. See that pun, Matt? It's not as good as Sea of Bars, but whatever.
Yeah, Sea of Bars is pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, I'm still not over it, but yeah. Better graphics. This is as good as it gets, Fogo. What's that?
There's someone specifically in the team that pretty much really loved the Sea of Bars.
Yes.
Maybe he's with us. Will we be able to enter the houses in Brisk in the final game?
I mean, ask that to the present you opened before Christmas. So if a door is closed, unless you see a prompt on it and it pops up your key items inventory, usually there's just no door when you can enter. So yeah, just, there can be someone doing something in a house or whatever. There will be exploration. You might laugh a couple times, you might cry a couple times, you might be challenged, and you might find something hidden. We like to call it a video game.
Great, and what do the seashells do?
Oh yeah. They're actually supposed to be. It's a rainbow like a conch kind of thing. They're it's not in the demo, but they might interest the collector. That's all I got.
Enough said.
So so I'll just say it without like spoiling how it happens. But it's basically the optional token, and there will be like a special shop where especially like not necessarily powerful, but maybe game breaking or like helpful sometimes items as you gather them. So once you've reached 10, you get this item. Once you've reached 35, you get this item. If you get them all, you get the ultimate like thing. You can think of golden sculptulas maybe or something, depending on where your references are. So it's just a fun way to like reward you for going off the beaten path. But they won't be called seashells though in the game. They're rainbow conchas. I mean, it's still technically a seashell, but
cool. I guess I could go for like I think the most asked question everywhere right now is other than the backer exclusive physical edition that the announcement is already available to pre-order. Will there be another physical release at launch, standard one, other editions?
Ah, if only you had not said at launch, because for that I don't know. But yeah, but the overall answer is yes. There will be. I mean, it depends on if people want it. You know, we'll never do something like just print a whole bunch and let them sit on shelves. You know, so it would probably still be through something like you can pre-order it, and then that indicates how many we should print. But yeah, I mean, if there's demand for it, we'll do it. We just want to celebrate, okay? So if that's how people want to gather around what we made, we'll make it happen. Yeah, so these would be like ones you can't enter in the main game.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of these trying to go indoors in streams.
Ooh, this one though. Yeah, the demo is very like self-contained.
Much more to discover when you'll play the real one, the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to still? Because I still have some questions for you, Terry.
Yeah.
Or do you want to?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. You tell me when you want to show some gameplay or the things.
Yeah, sure.
So, Stamway on Discord was asking if there are what are some scrapped ideas that didn't make or won't make it into the final game that we had in the past, or
I mean, I wouldn't say there are really any like meaningful ones. It's just like through iteration we find the proper version of any like concept, you know. Yeah, I don't think I have anything here. Maybe once everyone has played the full game, we can get more in depth about some of the steps we went through on things they now understand and can be interested in how they happen. But yeah, I think for now it's better to just keep these kind of things on the reps.
Yep. Good. Storm was also asking on Discord if there will be an area where we can practice battles in the game.
Woohoo! Depends what you mean. You mean an area that you can go back to whenever you want? That's unlikely, but you do practice battles as you go through the main story, and whenever things get tutorialized, learning to time hits, learning to time blocks, using combos, you know, breaking locks, things like that. But no, practice mode is go out there and fight something, and maybe go back, fight something easier if you prefer.
Good. Austin was asking, will you be able to max out your character stats?
Max out? Yes. So we're working with low numbers. You might have noticed. It's a low numbers game. You're not gonna have, you know, 2,000 hit points by the end of the game or anything. It still feels good to hit something for like 300, you know. And so the level cap is also low. I would say that Super Mario RPG is once again a very dear game to us, and it's a very good reference for these kinds of things. You know, level cap being at something like 30, and by the time you reach the end of the game, if you played like sort of I want to say normally, but you know, the average we expect, you'll maybe be like level 20, and then through New Game Plus you sort of get 1 or 2 extra level per run. So even though you choose, and even though you pick your upgrade when you level up, that's also why you need a low cap, right? Because by the end you have 6 characters total, so every time you level up, it's like you go through 6 choices. That's not something you want to do 99 times, you know. And so while you so as you do this, basically the idea of that low cap is that your choices will impact your character, but if you made it up to level cap, they all go back to you've made all the choices because they get rolled out once you've picked them too many times. Well, I spent a lot of time with the fishing minigame to find unit, and I made a fish that was fun for me, but it's way too hard. I shouldn't have left it in the demo. I apologize. That's my bad. I take the blame. Yeah. So, are there more questions around XP or things like that, or?
Yes, actually, I was about to ask if we'll be able to respec the stat.
Nope.
You said no, sorry.
I did say no, yeah.
Okay.
Did you know that you can? Did people know that they can swim and move the fish around? So like, if there's one that you want to, if one's like in the back and it's especially hard to reel in, you can troll it like closer to the ducks, and like before, before it goes back, you just quickly like do this. See that? And see, you might think you cheesed it, but you paid with time, whether by reeling for a long time or swimming, so it kind of evens out. Anyway, so what were we saying, Matt? I'm sorry.
Uh, no, I think we're ready for another question. Well,
Cool.
while we're fishing, is there any fishing rods that will make getting fish easier?
It's in there, but it's linear upgrades. One thing that I don't like about fishing and approaching this, Breath of Fire 3 was obviously a gigantic reference. I was like, it's great. You look at the lake, you see them, you physically catch them, but then once you hook, you play in the interface. You're keeping a fish icon in the middle of a line. So we just, for me, it was like, let's fix that. Let's make also that be something that happens like in a tactile and kinetic way. Did I say kinetic right? And so from there, the idea is that and that's just a personal preference. I hate like having to choose my bait, and I'm like, why won't it bite? And I'm just waiting for something to hook, and I don't even know if it's possible that it will. So they're only linear upgrades. So for example, you could have, your line it now has like twice the stamina or hit points or however you want to call that, so that if you're holding the reel button while you're not in the reel zone, it starts blinking red, slower, or it now heals back up if you just like release everything for a little bit, or it kind of hinders the fish being like super feisty at the end when it's closer to the ducks. And so someone like the Crimson Bass, especially the ending fight, is super hard, but the idea is that once you have a certain like upgrade, that puts that like hinders that statistic that the fish has, and then that makes it more possible. So they're linear upgrades. They're not like, you didn't equip, like the frog leg or whatever, so just wasting your time, Anyway. It's okay if you like bait gameplay, but I don't.
So there are some people that may not know this about the game, but because someone was asking in the chat if there will be animated cutscenes in the game.
So it depends what you mean by that. We have two terms that we use in production. You can call that however you want. So for us, this is a cutscene. So a cutscene is not pre-rendered. A cutscene plays in the engine. It's scripted. It can play bespoke animations. It shows dialogue, camera shake. It can start different music and sounds. So that's a cutscene. There's a whole bunch of cutscenes in the game. Cal is working full time on them, and we just go through iterations with weekly build reviews, and we're just nailing the timing of these constantly. But we also have cinematics, which is perhaps what you're referring to here when you say animated cutscenes. So that's what we would call a cinematic. So a cinematic is pre-rendered. and then it's fully hand drawn by Zuku Animation, another studio in Quebec City. We released a teaser of how that looks in it's on our YouTube channel. I think we get like it was more like a action scene. It's not even actually in the game. It was just like a cool test that we wanted to make. And so as you go through the game, there's not many of them, but it peppers your experience where if you meet an important character or if an important event happens, then you can see it's going to be a full-on cinematic, and it allows us. Obviously, this camera in the game is great for retroness, but it has some downsides, right? We can't show you. We can just go like this and show you the sky or whatever. So cinematics help there in better telling what we want to tell or emphasize, or it feels like a quick reward. You're never gonna sit there with like 10 minutes of like they never have any voiceover or dialogue. It's always really just a kind of a bonus that gives you a wow for a few seconds, and then it's over. And yeah, the studio really went above and beyond. They're doing traditional animation, so it's not like cut out like puppet feel. They're doing like traditional redrawing everything. It feels like the cartoons. I can't speak for everyone, but that I certainly grew up on. So it has that feel. Means of making. It will be means for making the game feel easier or harder. So let me. Was it Jared weak strike? Well, Jared, if your strike is weak, hold on. Let me show you the options that we have. It's with the Relics that we do that. As soon as the pirates wrap up here. Kame is a moderator, though we should be able to. Okay, so if you look at your relics here, so that's the relics bind to not your save, but your entire game. So as you unlock them through the game, if you play in another save, if you play like a new game, they're available. One that is there by default is the Amulet of Storytelling. And if you read the description here, it's really for those who prefer a lighter challenge. It's literal use. So it gives plus 100 hit points to all of your characters, and you auto heal up to 75% of your max hit points after combat. It's an actual game changer. 100 hit points, even by the metrics of the end game, is a lot. So yes, there are ways to make the game easier, but as everything, we want things to feel connected, like they are part of the world that you're playing. So it's not like, hey, welcome to the title screen. Can't you take normal? Then pick easy. Just say it, you know. And so it's not. For me, I don't really like that kind of approach. So you'll be getting relics, and then that lets you modify the game, and there's no cost to it. It's not you do this instead of using something powerful, you know. Are there a lot of relics? Well, I mean, is the hotel far? Depends on the hotel, right? So how much is a lot? AGN. The amount of relics will make sense and be in tune with the rest of the game. Cool. So, all right. Hey, so is there someone lurking in the call that could unmute right now that happens to be a musical genius?
If I find someone, I'll let him know.
Oh, it's Eric. Hello, Eric.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
What's up, fam? What's up, everybody?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Man, it's good. Just checking out this Twitch stream here.
Oh, yeah? Ever heard about
Yeah.
Sea of Stars?
Well, I actually played it on the Switch for the first time the other day. That was pretty interesting.
Hold on, I'm hearing you could be louder. Let me just take care of that real quick.
Hello.
I suppose
Hello,
this
hello,
is
hello.
better.
Yes.
So,
maybe.
Hey, so welcome, Eric. I
Yes.
suppose because we didn't want to go too far beyond an hour to keep these things like that people actually want to watch the VOD. So I'll just be playing through the dungeon. I don't know if Matt, you had any questions more related to music. For those who don't know, Eric, we've been working together since 2015, so since a year before Sabotage was even founded. We were already working together on Messenger to find a sound, find a feel. Eric's been my creative soulmate for a very long time, and we're super happy with the vibe and feel of Sea of Stars. We also have his buddy, well, our buddy now as well, Jake, who joined to help with sound design and a bit of music. And as you know,
I
we've
think
got.
Jake's in the chat right now.
Oh, is he there?
Yeah.
Old big leg.
Either Jake. Shout out either Jake.
Shout out either Jake. And of course, as you know, we have a guest composer, Yasunori Mitsuda, who gave us the honor of collaborating with us. He's doing around 10 tracks, right? To Eric's 150 or something.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But when we asked him if he wanted to be a part of it or whatever, and then we sort of sat down. Thierry and I sat down. Excuse me, jeez. And we kind of just went through basically all the stuff that we knew we wanted from him. Like, we knew we wanted a town theme. We knew we wanted a boss theme, and like a general sort of combat thing. So we're gonna get a good breadth of variety from Mitsuda-san.
It was kind of like, let's go through, like, what are all the boxes to tick if that's gonna happen, right? As you said, he has to do a town, he has to do a boss, he has to do like something cursed, something melancholic. And so yeah, it's a pretty good list. I don't think we'll be leaking any more of that. But so as far as the demo goes, everything is Eric and a bit of Jake as well, right? I think you collabed on maybe the Wizard Lab one.
Yeah, actually, a few of the tracks in the demo, the first song that we used, which was Moreland's theme, and then so Jake added a section to that,
right?
And then Wizard Lab, I believe he actually started on Wizard Lab and then kind of like fleshed it out from there.
Awesome.
And there was another one. Oh, Brisk. Yeah, had to get his touch on Brisk as well.
A bit of Jake paprika on it.
Yeah, exactly. A little Jake sauce.
Awesome. So Matt, did you have any questions more like focused on music, so Eric can provide some insights here? Cool.
Yeah, I have a few. To be honest, like music related, we had so much feedback, but that was more like people just saying how the soundtrack is amazing. I don't have a tons of questions, but I have a few for you, Eric.
Sure.
Someone in the chat was just asking if there will be other battle themes for combat.
Well, there's Night and Day for sure. For like the general combat theme. There's a bunch of battle themes in there. I think just to keep the retro feel correct, we just kind of needed the same battle theme. Which is like, you hear the song, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm in combat right now. Like, you just click with it like that. But yeah, there's definitely, I think there's a few different boss themes. There's like a sort of general boss theme, which we heard at the end of the demo, which I wrote like 6 years ago, probably. I think when we were still working on Messenger, we just started sort of like spitballing ideas on Sea of Stars, and like some people were doing, I think it was even before the pre-production, but I was just trying to like play around and find something that we liked, and that was the song we ended up using, and kind of like dulled it up a little bit since then. But yeah, I mean, that was written like 6 years ago.
That must be crazy to have a song that was written so long ago that's finally like out there.
It's definitely weird, just because I like, you forget about it for that long, and then all of a sudden, all these people are hearing it for the first time. It's pretty wild.
It's one of the songs from the demo that I think, from what I've seen from streamers and everything, that really hit with people. So that's cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely a slapper. I do like that song.
There was also ASM Havoc on Discord who was asking, will Sea of Stars have an in-game equivalent of the jukebox in the Messenger? So a place where we could, you can...
Is that a spoiler, Matt?
Sorry?
Is that a spoiler?
Oh.
Or did we show it? I'm not sure.
Well, we showed the fact that there's like I don't know how much we've shown about it and how much we want to talk about.
Huh.
how it
How do,
is
what
used.
is how do you respond with a cow emoji but verbal?
Oh yeah, cow emoji. Let me. I'm. Huh. Huh. S- let me do a
You
quick.
can skip the question.
I'm just gonna ask Phil whether or not he's gonna rip my head off if. If Phil says no, I trust him, because he always has a plan of when to reveal things to maximize whatever. Well, he says yes.
We've shown, yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes,
well, okay. So what's the
yes. It's a
best?
spoiler.
What's the best high level? No, he says we can go ahead. So
Okay.
what's the best high level thing for this is Eric has a friend called Reese, and Reese has a collection of traditional Irish instruments. Um, and he accepted, and he has his own recording studio, and he's very good at all these instruments.
He basically plays every folk instrument on the planet, more or less. And
Yeah.
yeah, he was in a pirate band called the Dread Crew of Oddwood, and then he started making like his own video. He basically plays every instrument. He's an accordion player, but just kind of he's one of those guys that just can pick up an instrument and figure it out. And yeah, he just has like this huge collection of instruments, and so basically Reese will be playing the part of the in-game pirate band.
So it's a bardcore band, right? So so in the game, the pirate crew each play of an instrument, and then Reese recorded acoustic versions of the songs of the game. He's probably gonna do around 40 of them or something, 40 or 50 or whatever. And then the pirates, whenever you're in a tavern, you can go. They will play a random song that you either unlocked or that they happen to know, and you can go up to them and be like, "Hey, can you play the Mountain Trail? Hey, can you play the Moorlands?" And they just start playing. So they're kind of a live in-game jukebox. And we really pushed the envelope where animation, so they each play an animation loop when their instrument is playing a note. So if you go up and so if they don't play during the song, they stop playing visually. And if you go up and talk to one, they stop playing and it mutes their track in the song. There's so much attention to detail in that thing that probably no one will notice, but we're really excited about this, and it's something that we'll get. I think we have something coming where we'll be talking about audio a bit more, right, Eric? Like there's a web page
Yeah.
for it that talks about the process and like pictures of all our artists in their own studios talking about their process with demo tracks and all. That's probably coming soon, and I guess now that we've said it, Phil is probably gonna drop it, I guess, but yeah, that's go ahead.
There's one other thing I wanted to talk about. Speaking of like secret things that nobody's going to notice, but so if anyone that played Super Nintendo, in particular Chrono Trigger was a ref for this, but like in battle, so the Super Nintendo only had eight channels, which means 8 simultaneous voices. You could just think of that like, you know, only 8 notes or like samples can be played at a time. And so when you're in battle, you do like a spell or whatever, and then the drums would actually have to like disappear in order to make room for the sound effects. And I'm actually recreating that using filters. So like this battle theme right here, you can probably hear it now, but like it's basically registers like impact sounds, and then it'll mute the drum track real quick. But that was sort of like a deliberate limitation that I recreated.
Right, but you keep it so light too that it's not so much something that people notice. It just feels polished, you know, even though you can't necessarily like pinpoint why. No, it's a great
Exactly.
detail to have. Yeah.
It's just like it's there for the people that would notice that and then have that association.
Right.
But it doesn't really. It's not done in a way to where it would take you out or really even like interrupt the track in a way.
Right.
But it's also just, I set it up to where it's like just the impact sound, so you're not just like missing the drums the entire time.
Yeah, that's interesting. There was we had someone in the chat also. I guess this one is for the both of you, but was Carl Cascade made with Mitsuda in mind, or did it just happen to resonate with the most Chrono Cross-like area?
Oh yeah, no, that's a total like Lizard Rock. I mean, especially once you see the area. I believe we showed it a little bit. Yeah, no,
in
it's
one of the trailers.
It was just a given. It was just like a no-brainer. You need the sunny like beach track from him, you know. Easiest call ever, probably. That and saying yes to being part of a Nintendo Direct, I guess.
And Eric, I know that you've answered this on Discord, on the forum already, but to confirm to everyone in the chat right now, will the soundtrack be added to streaming services once the game is out?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel bad that people even have to ask that. I felt like it was a given, but we don't know exactly when. Like, I don't know that we're gonna necessarily sync it up with the release of the game to kind of give people some time to, you know, discover it on their own, but it'll absolutely be there at some point. We're not gonna make you wait around forever either. So
yeah,
great. I see that. I see that we have a question in the chat right now, Eric. If you're playing, you plan on making a live show in Quebec again soon?
yeah, I don't really do solo shows anymore, but my band is touring through Montreal in the spring.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh, and also Jake's band is on that tour as well. So there you go.
Cool. So two occasions to see you guys live.
Yeah, but come say hi. You know, we're just gonna be hanging out.
Great. That's all I had. And
cool.
Musical wise, for you, Eric. I don't know if Thierry had something else to address.
No, I think that was a pretty good leak on the on the jukebox thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean we can, and we wanted to keep it to about an hour. So Matt, I don't know if you have like one last question that seems to be getting upvoted a lot or something, but otherwise, I think we're I think this is it.
Yeah. Well, we can end maybe on something for the people from Quebec that are in the chat.
Sure.
Someone was asking if there's a lot of other like jokes around Quebec language, like Malcolmud in the demo.
Oh, no. Please look forward to a boring adventure with no Easter eggs. Cool.
Well, I guess this is it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. It's always fun to connect. We hadn't done that in a while. We'll see, you know, as the man goes, we can maybe try to do this a bit more often, because now we're ramping up to launching, which we at last officially announced. The game is coming August 29th. So we'll be more in touch. We'll be on Discord more. We'll be streaming a bit more as it makes sense. We also need to focus on production, because the final stretch is as big a deal as the other steps. But we're happy to report that everything is working well, and the contact that we saw with the demo was an absolute dream of a validation for us, because we didn't show the best music track, the coolest boss, our favorite dungeon. You know, this is just a slice of the game that's, you know, on par with the rest. So we just can't wait for all of you to discover all the rest. And so yeah, the plan right now was, you know, unless there was going to be a major hiccup once people play it, you know, now our goal is we just have to finish it, which is the perfect situation that we could be in as developers. So thank you all so much for the support. We will get back to work and keep you in touch as much as possible, but we will be mindful of spoilers moving forward, because we do want to preserve the experience. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Hope everyone had fun with the demo. Feel free to replay it as much as you want. It is not going offline. And hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Pat.
Bye bye.
Pat.